We did our official predictions for the 2025 season on a previous full episode of the Hard Count, so go check that out. But when we did our college football playoff predictions, I had Alabama in there. Now, full transparency, I wasn't always 110% sure that was going to be the case. But the year progresses, we get through spring practice, we get through the summer months, we get into media days, we're now at fall camp, and as I sat with it longer, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to let last year scare me. I'm still believing in Alabama. I want to tell you why that is here in a matter of moments. Before we do that, though, Alabama fans, make sure you are subscribed right here to the On3 YouTube channel. College football, nothing but college football. If you want us to talk more about your tie, then go ahead and subscribe so we can make that happen for you, kind of a supply and demand thing. So you create the supply, we create the demand, you create the supply, I should say, rather. But with that being said, with that all out of the way, here's the first, I think, major talking point that has to be addressed when it comes to what Alabama is going to be in 2025. Because we're all asking the same question, right? Who's playing quarterback? Is it Ty Simpson? Probably, but there's been no official word there. And even if it is Ty Simpson, there's some logic in the back of your mind talking about, well, why couldn't he beat out Jalen Milroe? I've worked through that logic as well, and I don't have a correct answer for you. But here's where I land on that. And I've said this before, but I'll say it again. At the end of the day, I trust Kalen DeBoer to get the quarterback position right in his second year. I trust Ryan Grubb to the same degree. I also trust the fact that if any of those dudes were not good enough to play at Alabama, they would have a gauge for that. I think the staff would have a gauge for that, and they would not still be at Alabama. So Keelan Russell obviously was recruited, true freshman. If he ends up being the guy for you, great. We'll have a couple of years to ball, and you'll have a great runway, and that'll be awesome. But like if Austin Mack couldn't do it, I think he would have caught that vibe during spring. He'd be out. Ty Simpson, same thing. He'd be out. And again, I don't think it's just a thing where the player would have picked up on it. I think the staff would have, at some level, like maybe sort of communicated where they were in that race. And I understand you want to keep depth, so I get all that. But I think it would have been abundantly clear if these guys couldn't do it, they would not still be in Tuscaloosa. So that's one part of it. But going back to what I said, I think it's fair, especially after the first year, to just kind of trust a coach to major in what they major in. You know what I mean? Like Marcus Freeman and what he is as a defensive mind. I trust Notre Dame will always be good on defense, even with the turnover. Same thing with A&M and Mike Elko. I trust that as long as Mike Elko is the guy out there, they are eventually going to get that side of the football right. Lincoln Riley at USC, they're eventually going to get the offensive side right. They'll have the quarterback right. I think Kalen DeBoer is kind of the same way. What he did at Fresno State, what he did at Washington with those two quarterbacks, both being professional guys now, like I can trust him, I think, to get the quarterback right to some degree. Last year was unsettling, but Kalen DeBoer walks into that situation and like Jalen Milroe wasn't the quarterback that he had recruited to run his system, and it became very evident Jalen Milroe was not his fit for that system. That's not saying Jalen Milroe isn't going to be a great player at some level in the NFL, but like it wasn't going to be a good fit for the way that Kalen DeBoer was drawing things up. We've seen Kalen DeBoer's system is at its best when you have not a pure pocket passer, but a guy who can push the football downfield consistently and also can make the other throws consistently. Like just consistency at quarterback is a non-negotiable thing for any offense, but especially in how Kalen DeBoer operates, downfield had to be something that was there. It wasn't last year with Jalen Milroe. So I say all that to get back to my point here. I trust Kalen DeBoer to get the quarterback position right at the end of the day when it all settles. I think the roster now is also still Tier 1. And you said, well, JD, if they were Tier 1, I mean, why didn't they make the playoff last year? Bring back a bunch of production from the defense last year. That was top 10 in America. I mean, got a lot of guys back on the offensive side. Why didn't they make the playoff last year if they were Tier 1? Listen, you can go to a 5-star hotel, still have a bad experience. It doesn't mean you just say, oh, I'm done with that place. You can go to your favorite restaurant and have a bad meal. It doesn't mean you never go back again. It means that was a bad experience. That was a one-off. I think you'd be foolish to quit that restaurant or quit that hotel simply because of one bad instance. Now, it happens, but I think it would be a little bit silly to look at what Alabama has on this roster. Look at the receiver room that I think is going to be top tier in the SEC. Look at the offensive line. I mentioned the defense with a lot of young guys last year that are back for another season that are more experienced. Same defensive coordinator. I think you'd be silly to just sell all your stock on Alabama with what they have on that roster just because you had a subpar year last year and just because the quarterback position doesn't all the way make sense just yet. Also, across college football, there's a lot of places trying to figure out the quarterback position. I mean, Georgia, they're trying to figure it out. I mean, we talk about Texas. They got Arch Manning, and he's going to start for them, but, like, are we 110% sure he's going to be the dude at Texas when it comes to, like, playing at the highest level that they need to go win a national championship? Could happen. My point is this. Everyone's uncertain right now. And so with uncertainty at the quarterback position, I think it's fair to say, well, the roster's still good enough to where if they keep their eye on the ball in some of those games, they took their eye off the ball a season ago, Vanderbilt, Oklahoma. I mean, Alabama was a playoff team a year ago with Jalen Milroe at quarterback. As much as people think that what he did last year, myself included, wasn't good enough. So at the end of the day, I think we undersell how crucial it is for a culture to be solidified. Because Kalen DeBoer, I think he got to Tuscaloosa, and I think he built a culture. But you can build something and still have it taking a second to totally solidify. I think that's where Bama is right now. If you were at Alabama a year ago, after Kalen DeBoer took the job, and you didn't transfer out, I think you were committed to Alabama. Now, if you're still in Tuscaloosa, you're committed to Kalen DeBoer. You're bought into his way of doing things. You're bought into the standards. You're bought into everything that he's bringing when it comes to solidifying that culture. And it sounds cliche, but like, culture still matters in college football. Even with the portal, even with NIL, the teams that win at the highest level, super talented, like Alabama is, but they have a culture to go with that. And this is kind of an extreme example, but when you look at Ohio State and what they were last year, I would argue their culture kind of caught fire during the college football playoff. Now you say, JD, the culture caught fire, and so did Jeremiah Smith. I hear you, fair point. But I do think that the way we saw them kind of have a different sense of urgency and have a different chip on their shoulder and really come together, quite frankly, in that college football playoff run, I think culture still really matters, and I think that Alabama having that in a better place than where it was last year will maximize the talent. And if you trust the quarterback position, then you think Alabama's probably going to be in the mix for the SEC and definitely in the college football playoff. And I feel both ways about that when it comes to the Crimson Tide. So bottom line, took me a second, had to sit with it for the course of an offseason, but I am believing in Alabama. They will be a college football playoff team. And I think the conversation around Kalen DeBoer will get back to where it was when you first hired him, being a Tier 1 coach in the sport. Alabama fans, let me know in the comment section how you feel about this year. Looking forward to talking with you over there, on the socials, on the message boards, all that. But for Caden Smith on the ones and the twos, myself, Jody PicKell, we appreciate y'all. We love y'all. We'll keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time.